Hello and welcome to this episode of Death by Bunjie. This isn't just an every other day kind of episode of Death by Bunjie, is it? No, this is the first episode of Crossbow Appreciation Month 2025. I hope you're as excited about that as I am. Crossbow Appreciation Month, what is that? Come on, this is Death by Bunjie, and Crossbow Appreciation Month, it's August. And it's only right here on Death by Bunjie. It is a Death by Bunjie exclusive. Why? Because Bunjie, hanging on the wall behind me with the fancy new lights, right here in the trophy room, is my crossbow. It is the reason I have this channel, because I love that crossbow. And we go way back. We just killed a bear together this year in its 16th year of service. Can you believe that? That's a big deal. To me it is. 16 years hunting with that crossbow's taught me an awful lot. And one of the things that Bunjie has decreed is that August is Crossbow Appreciation Month. 31 videos in 31 days. Why? Because crossbows are a lot of fun. And because we got lots to talk about. And because August is the time for you to get your crossbow out and start preparing for the upcoming crossbow seasons. I got to get my crossbows ready for the crossbow season too, right? And I still haven't decided what crossbow I'm going to use this year. Is it going to be the Scorpid Deathstalker, the Slick Black Cadillac? I don't know. Will it be the Excalibur Hybrid-X, the new crossbow that I bought this year? Got some really good videos on that. Really enjoy that crossbow. That's a really solid contender. So is the Ravin R29X, the Black Widow. What's up with that? Still doing it. I have a love-hate relationship with that crossbow. I really do. You know, we butt heads. More on that coming this month. That's what Crossbow Appreciation Month is all about. You are going to get 31 videos in 31 days and motivation. I am going to, one way or another, figure out what crossbow will join me in the woods this fall. Will it be the old standby, the SWAT X1? Huh? I really like that crossbow. You know that. You know that, right? But really this year, Crossbow Appreciation Month is going to be just as much about my journey as a crossbow hunter, as a crossbow purist. But I really want to have more dialogue this year. I really want to have more discussion in the comments. I think that is what we can really get out of Crossbow Appreciation Month. If you have questions about certain topics, leave them in the comments and other people can chime in. I expect you, friends of Bunjie, to chime in with your information. There's no way that I, as a crossbow hunter, can try every crossbow model out there and have all the answers for every crossbow ever made. I can't do that, right? There's too many of them. There's too much information. But you, friends of Bunjie, can get together and help all of us lift crossbow hunting up even further this year. So why should you hunt with a crossbow, huh? And I want to hear your reasons if there are additional reasons. But one of the first reasons, the biggest reasons that you should hunt with a crossbow this fall is the fact that they are easy to master. In my book, The Death by Bunjie Crossbow Story, that's me. And that's Bunjie, right there, Bunjie. Bunjie was really responsible for me becoming a crossbow hunter because that crossbow was so easy to master, right? You can spend your whole life trying to master crossbow hunting, but crossbows are a lot easier to master, in my opinion, than a lot of other hunting weapons. The lesser forms of archery, like a longbow and a compound bow, you're not going to have a lot of the issues with a crossbow that you would have with those other forms of archery. You don't have to spend all the time in the backyard shooting and all that sort of thing. Once a crossbow's sighted in, it's probably ready to go. It really becomes more about muscle memory and understanding the anatomy of the animal that you're after at that point. That's my opinion. But I think that's something that makes crossbows superior to other weapons. It's a lot easier for people who aren't familiar with firearms to master. I grew up hunting with a rifle, right? I talk about that in my book. But I can tell you that I really appreciate a crossbow because I don't have to worry about flinching when I shoot. I can watch that luminoc, that arrow soar through the air down to the target. It's just a lot of fun. And that makes crossbows superior to everything else in my book. Now, you heard me refer to these fall seasons as crossbow seasons, huh? Yeah, crossbow seasons, not archery seasons. And the reason I call them crossbow seasons is because I'm a Pennsylvanian and I can hunt with a crossbow during every season. I can hunt in archery with a crossbow, the so-called archery season. I can use my crossbow during that. I can use it during the following rifle season. I can use it during the late season, which is a flintlock season. I can use it all summer long, shooting crows and woodchucks and having fun with that sort of thing. I can hunt predators with it, you name it. It's a very versatile weapon, and that's the number 2 reason why you should also be hunting with a crossbow. The number 3 reason why you should be hunting with a crossbow is energy. We're not trying to kill with concussive force the way that the rifle hunters are, but we do have rifle-like accuracy at certain distances, reasonable distances, with crossbows. We're trying to kill like an archery weapon with slicing and blood loss. And we can do that very easily with a crossbow. Why? Because of the energy that a crossbow possesses. If you hunt with a modern crossbow shooting around 400 feet per second with an arrow that weighs around 400 grains, you are probably in the 0.7 to 0.8 slugs of momentum category, maybe more with most modern crossbows. In this book, I talk about my crossbow journey and how a modern crossbow is really the way to go. It's right out of the box, giving you all the momentum, all the energy you could ask for as an archery hunter. It is the envy of the archery world. They have sought for decades, for centuries, to try and get this kind of energy that is now available. Go to Walmart, buy a crossbow, take home the stock arrows, and you're shooting enough energy to go through just about any animal that ever walked on the planet. Maybe not dinosaurs. Okay, maybe that's different. Modern crossbows, really the way to go. And we'll talk more about that during Crossbow Appreciation Month. But when you look at a modern crossbow, when you look at those offerings out there, it really becomes a question of which one to buy, not whether to buy a modern crossbow. Here's another one, and I want to hear your comments on this as well. Another reason to hunt with a crossbow is the cost. Now, over and over, I get comments here as I'm looking at the Ravins and looking at the 10 points and the more expensive models. And by the way, I've hunted with a $500 crossbow now for 16 seasons, right? That thing cost me $550 with the arrows, the quiver, the cocking rope and everything way back in the day, scope and everything. $550 and it's still in service. Look at that guy, huh? Bunjie. Oh yeah. So you can see it up close. That's Bunjie right there. Oh yeah. And that right there is the last buck that Bunjie ever killed. And that's the feet from that buck. My daughter Genevieve is a taxidermist. You'll see her working here in the trophy room from time to time, and you'll see her hunt with me from time to time. And she's the one that mounted that deer for me and made the foot rack for me. So pretty cool, huh? Another addition right here in the trophy room. That light, what do you think of that, huh? Also new to the trophy room, this guy, Genevieve mounted that buck. Check that out. That's my Maryland buck, killed with the SWAT X1, the Enforcer. Remember that? Man, that was good stuff. Bunjie killed this buck right here, too. This is got a second chance buck right there. Right there. Check that video out if you haven't seen it. Today, you can buy for $400 or $500 a really good setup that shoots modern speeds, and it's a great crossbow. It may not last as long as some of the other ones. It might have some problems. It might not have all the bells and whistles that the more expensive models have. People complain about the cost of the new technology. I totally get that. I don't like spending money on crossbows when I got a mortgage to pay off, right? Like that doesn't make sense to me. I like to be responsible and I don't want to spend all my money on a hobby. But look at the cost of crossbows really compared to other weapons. People tell me,
well, you can spend less money on a really good rifle that'll last you a lifetime
rather than buying a modern crossbow. Yeah, they're comparable in cost. I get that. If you buy an expensive crossbow, and you can buy a rifle for $400 or $300, whatever, you can buy those cheaper ones. But ammunition costs you quite a bit too. And if you buy a dozen arrows, that's not cheap, but it's comparable. But when you compare it to the lesser forms of archery, right? And again, I'm a crossbow purist. I prefer crossbows, and that's what this channel is about. To me, it makes no sense to hunt with other forms of archery equipment when for $400 you can go buy a modern crossbow. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. I refer to them as the lesser forms of archery because in fact they don't shoot as fast. They don't have nearly the amount of energy. They take a lot more time to practice, a lot more time to master, and a lot can go wrong because of those factors. With crossbows, you eliminate a lot of that room for error and it increases your chances of success. That makes it a superior form of archery equipment, the superior form of archery equipment, in my opinion. And that's why I refer to them as the lesser forms of archery. But those cost an awful lot. The guys that go out and buy a new bow, they can spend $2,000 real quick. So spending $1,500 or so on a modern crossbow, one of the higher end models, it's not like it's completely unique. It's not like crossbows cost an awful lot. The entry cost for a modern crossbow is very competitive. And the number 5 reason why you should hunt with a crossbow this fall, it's the future. It's the future of archery hunting. In every state where crossbow equality exists, where crossbows are made legal throughout the entire archery season, eventually they take over more than half of the harvest. Pennsylvania has been no different. I bought Bunjie in 2010, and we legalized crossbows for the archery season temporarily in 2009. It became final in 2010 or so. Over that time, what we see is that crossbows now account for well over 60%, almost 2/3 or maybe more, of the archery harvests throughout the year. In other states, exactly the same thing has happened. And what we're seeing for the future, as the world gets more and more populated, we see more and more restrictions on rifles. I am a big Second Amendment guy. I love the Second Amendment, so don't be thinking that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, look, rifles are a little bit dangerous at long range. A lot of communities don't want rifles. Crossbows, on the other hand, very much more a controlled instrument, and for that reason, they are favored in a lot of places. And you're going to see more and more crossbow access over the future, and you're going to see less and less rifle access in the future. Plus, given how easy they are to use compared to the lesser forms of archery, that makes them more attractive as well. And as people get older, and as some new hunters come in and don't, there's a lot of things pulling on your time. They want to play softball and baseball and hunt. The crossbow's the way to go. Don't fight it. Don't fight it when it feels so good to just say yes, right? That's from Tommy Boy. Crossbows, right? It's the future. So get on the crossbow train. Quit whining about how, no, crossbows are for cheating and all that other stuff, whatever. You can have all those opinions if you want, but you sound like an old fart is what you sound like, right? You sound like it's just dumb. Just get a crossbow. Come on. You know you want to. Thank you for watching this episode of Death by Bunjie. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on these 5 reasons or anything else crossbow related. We're going to be talking about these things all throughout this month, and I'm excited about it, and I hope you are too. Until next time, all hail Bunjie.